How's it going? Oh, I need a chair. Oh, this is gonna be too low now. Put that there. Oh, that's better. So today we're going to be covering quite a bit, and don't worry, there is another organ update coming in the next few days. There are another 12 chunky pipes, but they're a little different to the other ones, and we'll be looking at those when the time comes. Just trust me. So first off, let's touch on the title of this video, and that is... This is a Eurorack synthesizer I took to Barcelona to play with Kuehl and Heimbach, playing Sonar, thanks to Patreon and all that stuff. And we'll be having a closer look at this in a little bit. But remember, a couple of months ago, these things happened. They're Eurorack versions of the 1222 oscillators that are up there. The big ones compared to the little diddy Eurorack ones. Going to Barcelona with the Eurorack gave me an opportunity to actually test them in a real world setting. And I'll let you know my findings in a little bit. Well, it just so happens that Christian at FunkMod, who ported them to Eurorack, has made another whole batch of them, and they're available if you're interested. But after he finished and calibrated them, well, I got to realise a little bit of a dream. So we figured before Christian boxed them all up, we should wire them all into the same Eurorack case and just play them all at once and see what happens. Christian was all the way over in the United States of America, so I wasn't able to try it, but Christian cleared out his big Eurorack case and just plonked 100 of the 122 performing oscillators all in the same case just to see what happened. So this first video is of him plugging them in bit by bit and then tuning them to a lovely chord, and it sort of started to sound like the Megadrone. There is one massive difference between this setup and the Megadrone. Apart from there being tuners on every single oscillator, this is volt per octave tracked, which means it's a lot easier to play it in tune and play it like a normal synthesizer. So what Christian then did was plug it through the 2001 sequencer, shove it onto a super saw, and yeah, get a super saw sequence going. there was a diminishing amount of returns the more oscillators you had. And I know there's some people on the tip of their tongue that are like, why would you do that? You only need a few oscillators. Why? Well, sometimes in life it's about the pursuit of why nots. Yeah, well, you've all obviously got too much time on your hands. Well, good. Yeah, well, that's just not how it's done. The astute among you may notice that around the edges of this video, it's a little bit hazy. That's because when I was over at the museum the other day filming a little bit of getting the organ going, one of the organ pipes fell down and conked the front of the camera lens, which royally buggered it up. And right now it's propped up with cable ties. So until I bring myself to sorting that out, you better get used to a slightly fuzzy picture around the edges. It could be a few weeks, it could be a year, who knows? So that brings us on to the next port of call in this video, and that is chatting about the next module that I took to Barcelona in this case. If it isn't that fuzzy, then you'll notice this one right here. It is a Eurorack port of the 1114 filter GRRR. By the way, when I come up with names for things, it's 9 times out of 10 the first thing that pops into my head, so filter GRRR it was. The 1114 filter GRRR is one of the KOSMO format modular projects. By the way, I know I've got a little bit behind on the KOSMO modular projects as of late. The truth is, I'm pretty bad at multitasking big projects, and the organ's just completely taken over my mind to the point that I had finished the next one, which is the crunchy spring crunch spring crunchy. That is the name, by the way. It is a crunchy spring reverb with control voltage over absolutely everything. Well, I finished this about a month ago and I was sitting around waiting for the stock to turn up, and it turns out I just completely forgot. So I'm very sorry about that, but let's talk about the 1114, shall we? The 1114 came from a few live streams where I was looking at the LM13700 datasheet. The LM13700 being a dual transconductance amplifier, we've spoke about it in a lot of the videos. It's an amazing little chip that you could use for nearly anything. You could use it for voltage controlled amplifiers, oscillators, filters, ring modulators, and in these live streams I started from the datasheet of the LM13700 and just started building from there. And it all culminated together to become the filter GRRR, which actually has 2 LM13700 dual transconductance amplifiers. When I was messing about with the circuit on the breadboard, I was starting with the datasheet example of the filter, then I started messing around quite a bit. I tried to add a resonance control to it, but I did it slightly wrong and it went a bit funky. Sounds like a dying cat. And I decided to keep it like that, and from that point it became the funky filter, and that funky filter became the filter GRRR. It's a filter that primarily has a resonance that's a little bit weird. It's also got a VCA on the end as well as a clipping circuit, and it messes about with the offset of the oscillators. Messing around where the actual oscillator sits in the voltage range, you can actually get some really weird unsymmetrical clipping, which makes it sound a little bit more funky and a bit more weird. Well, Christian at Funk Mod put his thinking cap on and ported it over to Eurorack. As you can see, they look pretty similar. This one being the KOSMO Chunky Monkey, and this one, of course, being the Eurorack version. But anyway, let's see what's so funky about it, shall we? If you wanted to, the filter GRRR can sound sort of like a normal filter. That's not the filter, this is the filter. But then you get funky and add more resonance. Even in some instances, when you mess around with the shelf switch and the clipping, you can actually start getting the resonance to start stepping like an arpeggiator. So you've sort of got an arpeggiating filter. That's kind of funky. And when you get down low, the funkiness really accentuates the beating harmonics. It can get nice and squelchy, so let's add an envelope generator and see what happens. a sequencer through it and see the range of sounds you can get. You can get some squelch, some clip, some resonance, some whap, some whoop. It's got control voltage over the resonance control. It's got an attenuator on one of the control voltage inputs of this knob right here. So that means you can either invert it or you can do all of the in-between. So it could go whoop or bow. It's got 2 audio inputs, so there's no need for a mixer next to it. So all in all, it can sound anything from normal to pretty funky. So as I mentioned at the start of the video, Cuckoo, Heimbach and I formed the band Uncompressed to play at Sonar Barcelona 2022 thanks to Patreon. The premise of it was we had never played together before. Okay, that's a lie, we played together for about 3 hours in March. But the premise was we had a rehearsal space for 4 days. It was a very nice rehearsal space as well. And we had to figure out what the fudge we were going to do to play Sonar together as a band in a gig. Woo! I ended up opting to take the Eurorack stuff to add some more dynamics, and it meant I could actually properly test these things. Sonar 2022. Sonar, we're playing tomorrow, right?
Uncompressed.
Uncompressed. Uncompressed. So I figured we should have a look at what we got going on. So I guess we'll start with Andreas's setup over here.
Yeah. So
what we got?
I got 3 things. I got Zoya Empress Effects, which is Empress Effects Zoya. It's an effect that I built for the piano specifically. Yeah, I got a control pedal here too, in case I want to map some of the parameters to a control pedal.
That's very nice popcorn socks.
Thank you. And then I got this custom designed synthesizer, which is made out of a Keystep 37, Mega FM, and Blue Sky from Strymon. And I gave these wonderful synthesizers and stuff to Love Hultén. I'm very happy I did this. I did it specifically for the Sonar Festival, because I wanted to have something beautiful to play on. So it's yeah, this beautiful Mega Drive sound. Yeah, and that's basically my setup.
So then we pop over to Heimbach. What we got going on here?
Main instrument that I'm playing is a Hohner Electra Melodica from 1967. This is the first synthesizer with breath control. Hohner were doing some rather innovative stuff at the time. And this can be a bass synthesizer, this can play highs. Choose a different sound and a different bandpass filter. Then I run this into a tape echo by EchoFix. Yeah, I loop on here. I had a mod made, so I can do sound on sound. So I can create looping with this, and I can pitch it to the best speeds all around. And then this runs into two old Moog Fogers. And then I'm also playing the Carper by Seat Lombard, which is like a Carper strong digital synthesizer.
And then popping over, we have on this side, currently, there's an MS-10 that's doing a lot of bass duties at the minute. It's an MS-20 for starters. It's just, then that's going into the Memory Man. And we've got CR78, which is coming in for some funky in the middle. Initially we were going to use just this, but it just didn't seem enough dynamic changes, so we're using it for a touchy on the top. The kick's a bit naff when it comes to it, and that's going into a Blue Sky and an electric deluxe electric mistress. And then yeah, this is the Eurorack. It's for travel. It made sense to bring Eurorack, and we went to go see BEFACO to get some nice, much better sounding drums. And we got this noise plethora, which is acting as like a snare and a noise. This goes into this, which is like 4 decays VCA thingamajiggy, so you could just plug noise sounds into it and it decays down. And then a KICKALL, which is basically a kick drum. Funnily enough, we're actually still using the tip-top ones, but they're going into the delay to make it sound like da 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 da. So, and then just a couple of extra synth voices, just for extra. When we started off at Barcelona, the drums were sounding a little bit naff, I've got to be honest. So that's when we went over to BEFACO, had a chat, and we picked up a few modules. As I mentioned, the crush delay, which is a bit crushing delay that goes all over the place. I used that in the performance as mentioned to make a bu-bu-bu-bu-bu. Adding reverbs and effects of the tip-top drums, which were now acting as overlay drums instead of the frumpy stuff. Because I ended up getting the KICKALL from BEFACO, which I cannot recommend enough for a kick drum. You'll hear it in the performance and stuff in a second, but it's just an awesome kick drum with a bunch of parameters. I ended up using the noise plethora, which basically is a plethora of different noises that you can select between, and the PERCALL, which basically turns anything into drums. It's pretty much a bunch of decays that control voltage amplifiers that then get mixed together, but it's all got a load of other things as well. But this put together made some really interesting hi-hats, snares and clicks, and just overall some percussive funky stuff that went on top. Regarding the synth voices, I ended up with 2 of them in the Eurorack synth, as well as a Korg MS-20. The Korg MS-20 and one of the synth voices, this one over there, was acting as the bass lines, and then there was one on top that was playing arpeggios. Much like in the KOSMO format modules, I've got to be honest, the tuner on the oscillator was really, really handy. It gives you a bit more confidence, and if something is out of tune and you can't quite figure out what it is, you can have a quick glance and you can figure out whether it's them or not. Yeah, they're really, really handy. And yeah, all in all, coming from somebody who likes to play bigger synthesizers, it's pretty awesome, to be honest. After that, on Saturday morning, we went over to Sonar Festival to set up. We're getting ready, we're sound checking in how long? 25 minutes or so? 25 minutes. I think Andreas is trying out the keyboard, the piano. We've got little things, we've got little balls, little movie things, so yeah. Oh, fingers crossed. We ended up deciding to do a slightly planned improvisation. By that, we had a rough structure of how it was going to go, like 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. But everything in between was up to the gods. In the next few weeks, Patreon is going to be putting up a video of the full-length show, so you can watch it there and then, but here's a little clip of it. enjoyable time, I must say. A video of the last rehearsal that we did, as well as the full live performance, is actually already available to watch on all 3 of our Patreon pages. But like I said, a video will be going live in a few weeks or so. And yeah, the restock of the performance oscillators are now available. Links to the available shops are below, like I said, below. And also, the filter GRRR is out. Because this filter also has a built-in VCA, all you need is this, an oscillator and an envelope generator, and you can basically got a synth voice anyway. Anyway, that's it for today. I'm Lookman, no computer. If you like, we'll see you never go to subscribe. Don't forget to